Let's hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It's Friday, March 7th. Here it's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X as well as on YouTube. Now we've got 6 games out there on the ice today, and I've got a question that we just have to jump into. So we're looking at a play here where you parlayed them last night. Your last leg is the Washington Capitals today. 16-1 payout. Not sure if you should hedge. So that is a crazy bet that you have sitting there. They're playing the Detroit Red Wings. Let's jump into this game first, you guys. We got to talk about this. Let me know what you think we should do here with the hedging situation. So you could hedge and you could put some money on the Detroit Red Wings just to make sure either way, especially at 16-1. That you're going to walk away with some money. Looking at your original bet, I would look to put your original bet here on Detroit, because that way, win or lose, you're still going to be paid out something. Detroit coming in as a big underdog versus the Washington Capitals. We know Fridays are freaky out there on the ice, so let's jump into this game. Then we will get to the rest of them. The Detroit Red Wings taking on the Washington Capitals. Now, the Red Wings plus 180. We're starting to see less and less value as the day goes on. They were close to plus 190. Favorite or underdog earlier in the morning, minus 220 here for the Caps. Now, we know how strong this Capitals team is. Ovechkin looking to break Wayne Gretzky's record. They should be able to get the win. The one thing about the Washington Capitals, they will scare you in that first period, especially at home. That's where they're getting off to these slow starts. So if you wanted to look here at coming back in, even on the Washington Capitals, if they go down, I do think they still get the win. So hedging at 16-1 on this parlay, it makes some sense to put a little bit money on Detroit just in case we get that Freaky Friday. But this is the Capitals at home, and it's hard to go against them. Now we look at the power play here for the Caps. They should be able to convert, especially against the weak kill here of the Detroit Red Wings. One of the worst kills in the league, only killing off 69% of their opponents' power plays. Now, Cam Talbot expected for the Red Wings and Logan Thompson here for the Washington Capitals. We've seen the Red Wings lose their last 4. They've gone 4-5-1 in those last 10 games last night. So they're on the second night of back-to-back too. They lost to Utah 4-2. I expected more out of the Red Wings. I expected them to come out nice and strong. They're at the Senators on Monday. They've covered the puck line in the last 6 as a dog. So they played in those tight games out there on the road. So you will get that fear in this game with the Washington Capitals, especially with their slower starts at home. I do think the Caps will win this. They either win this 6-2 or 5-2 in an empty netter. So I'm feeling pretty confident that they cover the puck line in this one. At home, these teams have had home ice advantage, going 5-2 in the last 7 meetings between these two teams. And we've seen the Caps come in nice and strong off of Wednesday's overtime win versus the Rangers 3-2, 6-3-1 in their last 10 games. The Kraken on deck on Sunday for this team. And then they're on a 3-game road trip. So sitting nice and safe in that first spot in the Metro. The last time these teams did match up, though, the Red Wings were able to get the win. They got that 4-2 win back in December. So if you're worried at all, at 16-1, I would put some money on the Red Wings straight up on that money line just to make sure you got a middle spot in this one. If you're losing that parlay, at least you're getting your money back on the Red Wings for your original investment into that game. At a 16-1, let me know what the payout is going to be, because if you cash out of that bet, I wouldn't hate it. So let me know the cash out. If they're giving you the cash out, you should be able to hit it. But again, if this is a Saturday, absolutely. On a Friday, freaky stuff happens out there on the ice. Okay, so let's look at who we should be circling here. Ovi for the power play point today, I absolutely love. We know Ovechkin is chasing Wayne Gretzky's numbers, 10 away from surpassing it. The power play point for Ovechkin coming in at plus 190. So 32 goals on the season, 25 career goals in 36 games versus the Red Wings. So I'm looking for that success to come in this one. 9 of his 32 goals have been on the power play this season. So he's been strong, and looking at the Red Wings and how weak that kill is at 69.9%, expect Ovi to be able to have success on that power play. So I'll take him for the power play point. You're not getting the power play goal over on FanDuel, but I do expect that point to come via the goal. He's scored 6 goals in the last 6 games, so he has been absolute fire. You look at Dylan Strome coming out here for the assist. He has 9 assists in the last 11 games and 5 in the previous 6 games, 43 assists in 62 games this season. So Strome should come out nice and strong. Ovi on the power play is where I want to look. When we look at the Red Wings here, DeBrincat's coming up against goal number 30. 29 goals on the season. A goal tonight is coming in at plus 210 for the Red Wings. He leads this team with those 29 goals, and he's also able to get his shots on goal, 3+ shots on goal. Has gone over in 7 of his last 10 games and 8 of his last 11 at home. So DeBrincat really has been firing. Now, the Red Wings rolling into Washington, and this is why you might not want to hedge this parlay. So I look at hedging. If you can middle it for a nice spot, covering that original bet and not feel too bad about your day if this leg loses, it's a good spot, right? At the end of the day, we're all about our return on investment and making money. So 16-1, I would hold on to it, but I would put a little bit of money on the Red Wings. So the Red Wings have struggled in Washington, only winning 4 of the last 16 meetings. They've won their last 5, though, games as a dog. So I got to be thinking about you, D, in this one, but I would put a little bit of money on the Red Wings just in case something freaky happens on this Friday. So that's where I would go. So it, for me, is the Washington Capitals. I do think it's them to get it done. I would look at that puck line. I think they win this and cover the puck line. Laying 1.5 on that puck line is plus 210. So minus 120 on the money line if you want to be safe. Again, when you look at those numbers, it doesn't seem too convincing. Sorry, they are minus 220. That's where I saw the Winnipeg Jets numbers. I was like, why all of a sudden in the Washington Capitals minus 120? So the Washington Capitals are minus 220. So minus 1.5 on that puck line at plus 116. I do think 4-2, 5-2 style win here for the Capitals. They should be able to get those goals on the board, especially on that power play. And this total of 6.5, I'm going to stay off because if it's 5-2, it's because of an empty netter, pushes us over the total of 6.5. Okay, let's look at the rest of your guys' comments. Happy Friday, Matt. They cheated you yesterday. 3 lays straight, Joe. Shame. Rantanen is on the ban list. Yeah, Rantanen just hasn't been getting things done. We'll see with the trade deadline. Happy trade deadline day, by the way, you guys. What is happening with Mikko Rantanen? It looked like the Stars had a deal with the Canes for Rantanen, which fell through last night. Not officially sure if it's completely gone. Kev, happy Friday. Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon. What a fantastic day out of both of those guys. Cale Makar just lighting things up. Such a strong defense for sure. I missed by 1 on 3. Oh, 3 parlays, missing by 1. That definitely hurts for sure. Ovechkin shots on goal. Yeah, you can look at Ovechkin. He's going to be firing away tonight. When we look at the goaltending matchup in that one, I do think Cam Talbot will let those goals come in. But you know we're going to get that production out of Ovi in this matchup. Alex DeBrincat, anytime goal. Yeah, and I do think Alex DeBrincat gets goal number 30 tonight. So let's move on to the next game, the Winnipeg Jets versus the New Jersey Devils. Now, I do think, I talk about Fridays. I talk about some of these dogs really barking on a Friday, but looking at this matchup here, the Winnipeg Jets seem like the right way to go versus a New Jersey Devils team without Jack Hughes in the lineup. That is a huge hole in their lineup here. And I know playmakers like Timo Meier and Jasper Bratt really going to step up, but this is the Winnipeg Jets, and the Winnipeg Jets with how they have been playing overall on the season with Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Josh Morrissey, all of these players really lighting the lamp consistently. I do think New Jersey's in for a long day. Now, the lines don't make sense. Minus 120 only for the Winnipeg Jets. I expected them to be a minus 180. minus 190 favorite this morning, especially without Jack Hughes in the lineup for the New Jersey Devils. Now we've got a total of 5.5. It's plus 118 to the over in this matchup. I'm going to play around with it a little bit. I think if the Winnipeg Jets win, they win in reg. So I would rather look at the Winnipeg Jets in regulation to be able to get the win. We're getting plus money there at plus 130. So it takes it from a minus 120 to a plus 130 mark. And I do think it is a stronger way to go. Now, the problem here with the Winnipeg Jets, and this is why I think we're seeing this line this way, the Winnipeg Jets on the second night of a back-to-back on the road, fallen flat on their faces. In the last 6 games, they've lost those last 6 on the second night of a back-to-back on the road. So hard place to trust them, but we should see Connor Hellebuck in net, as we did see Art Crombie last night between the pipes for the Winnipeg Jets, and the Jets coming in off that nice win last night should roll with some momentum. Jacob Markstrom expected here in net for the New Jersey Devils, and I do think Jacob Markstrom is a strong goaltender. He's sitting 18th in the league, but we do have Connor Hellebuck, second best goaltender in the league right now. His numbers are absolutely outstanding. We also see a Devils team going 4-6 in their last 10 games, while we've seen the Winnipeg Jets go 7-2-1. Now, between these two teams, home ice has been a huge advantage, with the home team winning the last 4 meetings. But the Jets have gone 11-3 in the last 14 versus the Devils, and 6-2 in the last 8 meetings in New Jersey. So we've seen the majority of their losses in Winnipeg, majority of their losses versus the Devils being here at home, but very, very limited. So with that home ice advantage. So Dougie Hamilton expected out of this lineup as well. He's listed day-to-day with a lower body injury for the Devils. So you take out Jack Hughes, you take out Dougie Hamilton, and this team's really going to struggle. Remember, Jack Hughes has 70 points on the season, 27 goals and 43 assists. So leaving a big hole in this team. Now Jasper Bratt has 53 assists in 63 games, 70 points. So if you're looking for someone to step up, but I do think it's the Jets or nothing in this one. I think they can win this 3-1 style game. So if you want to look at the Devils team total to the under 2.5, you're going to have to lay the juice, but I like it. I would also look at the Jets to come in and win this in reg. Now the under 5.5 is in play at minus 134. My only fear here is without Dougie Hamilton in the lineup, if the Jets really pepper Jacob Markstrom and he just has one of those off nights, we could see the Jets push this total over themselves. So I like the Jets best in regulation. Then the Devils team total to the under, be the full game to that under. Now, Kyle Connor, look for him to have that production out there again tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. 76 points, 31 goals, and 45 assists in his 42 games. Mark Scheifele, 68 total points. So could he get 2 points tonight and get to 70? He absolutely could. 34 goals and 34 assists. You got to love those numbers. So, and I know both of these teams do have the offensive production ability to push this over, but goaltending and defense really should come to play. When we look at the trends for those under, 8 of the last 11 games in New Jersey have fallen under that total. Okay, let's move on to the next game here, you guys. We talked the Detroit Red Wings versus the Washington Capitals, so we're going to move into the Utah Hockey Club versus the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, I'm so interested in this. Utah just keeps screwing things up for me. They're playing above what I expected out of them, and I keep going to fade the Utah Hockey Club, and it keeps costing me money. So not going to lie here, but the Chicago Blackhawks, Spencer Knight getting the start. Now, looking at Spencer Knight versus the LA Kings, he saved over 40 shots on his net. He fantastically was elite between the pipes in his debut for the Chicago Blackhawks, traded over from Florida from the Panthers. Now, it's coming in at plus 142 on the money line for Chicago at home, and you got to have that faith that Spencer Knight will have another hot night between the pipes tonight for Chicago to be able to get the win, because we know the struggles this team has had offensively. Now in that game versus the Kings, we did see Chicago really come to play. They're able to light the lamp, and it was surprising to see Connor Bedard not even recording a point in that game when Chicago put up, 5 goals in that one. So this total sitting at 6.5, minus 134 to the under. I look at the Utah Club. Connor Ingram expected between the pipes for them. He's got a 9/11 save percentage versus the Chicago Blackhawks. And Spencer Knight, like I said, stopped 41 of 44 shots on his net versus the Kings in his Blackhawks debut. Now, I do want to look at Spencer Knight for his save shots on goal. We're going to jump into that prop here at the end of the show, see if it's posted. But I am going to look here at playing cautiously for Chicago. I think they can get the win. I think if they get the win, they're scoring over 2.5 goals. So the over 2.5 for the team total for the Chicago Blackhawks coming in at -128. So you will have to lay the juice with the Chicago Blackhawks, but I do like them to be able to score 3 goals in this one. Now, Tyler Bertuzzi has been nice and strong. He's been getting those assists on the board. He's been able to get an assist in the last 4 games out there. When we look at the last time these teams matched up, we did see Utah in February, just on the 25th, get a 2-1 win. So we saw that lower scoring game. But I do think Connor Ingram will allow Chicago to be able to put those goals up on him. And if Spencer Knight's a little bit more down to earth in this game, we could see a couple more. But we look at the games versus Florida, and the last couple of games, or for him in Florida, there was one game he stopped 18 of 17 shots on his net. So he's had really solid numbers on the season. So I'm not fading Spencer Knight in this one. Okay. See the rest of your comments here. Anytime goal for DeBrincat, Brat, Ovi, and Kyle Connor. Yeah, I like where you're going with those anytime goals, Larry, for sure. I think that is a great way to go. Yeah, DeBrincat owes us for sure. Let's get this freaking money, Larry. It's going to be a good day for sure. Sub to your channel a few days ago. Happy you have. Thank you so much, Brian. It's good to have you here. So 2 points for Kyle Connor. Yeah, I think you could go 2 points for Kyle Connor as well. Kyle Connor has just been an absolute machine out here for the Winnipeg Jets, and I do think he comes out with a strong night. You look at this, and I don't think Jacob Markstrom really is going to be able to stand on his head in this matchup. It's going to be really hard, especially with the speed that the Jets will bring in this game. So I would look at Kyle Connor for 2+ points. Let's turn to the matchup here between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Vegas Golden Knights. The Pittsburgh Penguins coming in here at +190 and -235 here for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, I do want to remind you guys, it is trade deadline day. Stay tuned to YouTube here as well as to X to any bets that I'm jumping clearly off of. I will post those before these games, before the puck drops tonight. Because of this trade deadline, we never know what's going to happen. Some of these teams could be trading a piece off that is crucial for us tonight in our bets. So please stay tuned to that. Between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Vegas Golden Knights, I do think the Penguins could be moving some of their key pieces off. Who do I want to see go? I want to see Raquel, and I want to see Sidney Crosby move tonight before this trade deadline to give them a chance to fight for a cup. But I don't think Crosby wants to go. We'll see if Raquel is a player that can be listed as gone by the end of the day. But the Pittsburgh Penguins coming in at +190, -235. Here for the Vegas Golden Knights in a total of 6.5. Now, the 6.5 interestingly juiced to that under. And I think it's because they think the Pittsburgh Penguins won't put up their share of goals. But with Raquel and Crosby on the ice, I'm expecting them to be able to do so. Now, we know that the Pittsburgh Penguins on Wednesday did move off of Michael Bunting, sending him to the Nashville Predators, and did get a defenseman back in that trade. So Bunting is out of this lineup. Those lines will be shifting out there for the Penguins, but I'm counting on Raquel to get goal number 30 tonight. Goal number 30 for Raquel coming in at +210. So he's got 52 points on the season, 29 goals and 23 assists in those 63 games. And then when I look at Sidney Crosby here, Sidney Crosby has 19 goals. So can we get Sidney Crosby for goal number 20 today? I absolutely think we can. I know it's Adin Hill and the Vegas Golden Knights have a strong defense, but these teams, when they match up, actually trend to that over, and I'm expecting those goals to come in nicely today for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So looking at Sidney Crosby's coming in at +180 for goal number 20 tonight. Now, you look at the power play here. Looking at Raquel and Sidney Crosby for the power play point, I think is another strong way to go because neither of these teams actually have elite kills. We've got Vegas's kills only 76.8%. And the Penguins' kills is 78.3%. So I do expect whoever stays out of the box, right? Like Vegas should get the win here. But the Penguins, if they stay out of the box and convert on their power play opportunities, that power play, the 9th best in the league, 23.9%. I do think Adin Hill will be vulnerable in that situation. Now, Vegas is a team that has proven they can score. They've scored 3 or more goals in 5 of their last 7 games. Second best power play in the league at 28.6%. So if you just want to take the total out of this and not go over the 6.5. You can look at Vegas's team total over 3.5 goals. The problem is the books have it juiced at minus 134. I do think 4-3 style coin flip here for me, and really a coin flip, even though we're in Vegas. I do think the Penguins just bring something in this game. They've won 5 of the last 7 meetings versus Vegas. So this is a team where they've been able to beat, but majority of those 5 wins have come at home. When we look at the Penguins team total, over 2.5 goals is coming in at minus 110. That is where I like to go with this team. I do think they can get 3 goals on the board. Again, 4-3 kind of coin flip game for me. I do think the Penguins are alive, though, today in this action. But again, you've got to wait and you got to see and be cautious with this one, because if all of a sudden Raquel's gone or we get the blockbuster jaw-dropping trade that I want, that Sidney Crosby has gone, then we're not betting on the Penguins at all. So stay tuned for those updates, you guys, today. But I do think you look at the Penguins team total over 2.5 goals. Now, I do think the points are coming across the board. Like I said, you guys, the power play points here for the Penguins, I do think you can count on. But you can't deny that the defense and the goaltending of the Penguins is terrible. The power play is elite here for Vegas as well. So looking at players from Vegas is definitely a strong way to go. I love Jack Eichel for his points tonight. Now, Jack Eichel, you have to take for 2+ points. He's been able to hit 2 points in each of the last 2 games out there. So we're not getting as much as I'd like for him, but 2+ points at plus 162. We're starting off that conversation at plus money. So I'm willing to jump in on it. If I had to lay juice, there was no way, but I do think Jack Eichel can get at least 2 points on the board against the weak defense here of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He centers that top line in the top power play. He's got 20 goals and 54 assists on the season. And then when we look even further down, someone who's going to get us some more value other than like looking at Mark Stone, let's look at Thomas Hertl. For 2+ points out of Thomas Hertl today is coming in at plus 320. He centers the second line and he is on the top power play unit. So you could also look at Jack Eichel and Thomas Hertl for a point today combined, parlayed together. It's coming in at plus 100. The problem is they're both juicy. So at plus 100, you're going to get plus money, not great odds, but I do believe both of them get at least a point. I'm expecting 2 points out of both. So Thomas Hertl for 2+ points coming in at plus 320. Again, he centers the second line and he's on the top power play unit with Jack Eichel, and that's why I would parlay them together for their point. 48 points and 24 goals and 24 assists. So if he gets 2 points, that's 50 points on the season for him. Okay, next game on deck, we're going to look at the Minnesota Wild versus the Vancouver Canucks. Looking at this matchup here, it's going to be interesting. Matt Boldy has been so strong out there for the Minnesota Wild. He has 21 goals and 32 assists for them. Jake DeBrusk looking really strong for the Vancouver Canucks, 22 goals and 14 assists for the Canucks. Now we have the Minnesota Wild, that line coming in. They're plus 112 on the money line. The Vancouver Canucks are minus 134, total of 5.5. 5.5 juice to the under at minus 120. The Minnesota Wild have been elite out there on the road, 22-9-3, just dominating teams. And we know Vancouver's had those struggles at home. They are sitting above 500, going 12-10-7, but I don't trust the Vancouver Canucks, especially having to lay the juice at home. Now, they do have a strong kill. Their kills at 82.2% and a very weak kill here at 70.3%, 31st in the league for the Minnesota Wild. So the Wild have to stay out of the box. If they get into the box with the power play converting at 22.4% for Vancouver, you're going to see Vancouver be able to convert on the weak kill here of the Wild. So it's crucial for the Wild to win this, for them to play a clean, disciplined game. With how strong they've been out there on the road, I could see them being able to get the win if Matt Boldy steps up. Now, you guys are saying Matt Boldy hasn't scored since Derek was invented. Matt Boldy has had his struggles in the last couple of games for sure, but Matt Boldy is one of their top scorers out there, and he should be able to get some things done. Now, the Wild have been dealing with those injuries, and they have been getting better. They've won their last 2, 5-5, though, in their last 10. They're coming off that win versus the Seattle Kraken on Tuesday, 4-3. I didn't like how many goals they gave up to the Kraken. We have seen the Vancouver Canucks all season really struggle with consistency out there. They're off the win to the Anaheim Ducks 3-2, and that does not impress me that they still allowed such a tight game versus the Ducks. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10. They have the Stars on deck on Sunday. They're 0-11 on the puck line in their last 11 games as a favorite. So I do think this is a live betting opportunity for this game more so than anything, because I do think this is a tight battle, especially with how strong the Wild have been on the road. With the Wild's record on the road, I'm tempted to grab them plus 112 on that money line, but I think we could play around with this. I do think Vancouver probably comes out, scores first in this matchup, and then we see the Wild answer back. At that point, before the Wild answer back, I want to grab the Vancouver or the Minnesota Wild at that point on the money line because I want more value here. I also would look then at them on that puck line plus 1.5 because I think this is a 1-goal game. I think this is another 3-2 style game, even though we could see that 4-3 style that, Vancouver wants to push it into. These teams really trend to that under. Kevin Lankican should be able to do enough between the pipes for Vancouver. But I'm really trusting on Gustafsson to come out nice and strong for the Minnesota Wild between the pipes in this one. So give me the Wild. Give me the Wild a live bet if Vancouver goes up first, and give me the under. And the under is sitting at 5.5, minus 120 to the under. You could look at the first period under 1.5. I do think that is another solid way to go as well. Now let's look at the Anaheim Ducks. They're in action today versus the St. Louis Blues, and I'm excited for this one. We saw St. Louis so strong in that matchup versus the King in their last game, getting the shootout win, apologies. They were able to get a nice win in that one and winning 2 straight versus the LA Kings. Now they play the Ducks. The Kings are resting, and they will face the Kings again tomorrow. They can't look ahead to the Kings. This St. Louis Blues team, I thought they were going to be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. What's happened with this team is they made such a push out of the All-Star break. They are not selling off their pieces. They are looking to make a push to the playoffs. So look at the St. Louis Blues to come out nice and strong in this game, pick up 2 points versus the Anaheim Ducks. The problem here is they're too juiced on the money line at minus 160. Minus 1.5 on the puck line is going to give you plus 156, and I'm all in. I do think they come out, they win this by 2 goals. Look at Joel Hofer to come out nice and strong between the pipes here for the St. Louis Blues. And Dostal, well, we keep saying Dostal. The Ducks are sellers at the trade deadline. The biggest seller here for them would be John Gibson. We'll see what happens with John Gibson. If he's not sold today, I think we probably see him between the pipes instead of Dostal. But we will see what happens. Either way, I think the Ducks team total under 2.5 goals is where I want to go. Minus 106. Troy Terry, we know, strong contributor here for the Anaheim Ducks, but this isn't going to be strong enough versus the St. Louis Blues, who know how to lock down on the defensive side of things. I do think they really limit the Anaheim Ducks' ability to get those shots on goal. They've been really strong in Anaheim as well, winning 13 of the last 16 meetings here, 8-0 in the last 8 meetings as well, versus the Anaheim Ducks. And the road team has had major advantage, going 20-7 in the last 27. I'm going to look at Robert Thomas. I'm going to look at Cairo. I'm going to look at Neighbors, all for their points tonight. The overs hit in 3 of the last 5, with one of those pushing that total. But the St. Louis Blues minus 1.5 on that puck line at plus 156. I think is a great way. Now you can look at them in the first period as well. We know the Ducks can dig deep in that first period, but I do think it's the Blues minus 0.5 goal at plus 150. A great way to go. First period puck line here for the St. Louis Blues. Interested to see what that total is. Over 1.5 coming in at minus 122. I think the Blues could get over 1.5 goals in the first period themselves, and we don't have to count on the Anaheim Ducks at all. I'm looking for them to come out really strong in this game, especially off that game versus the LA Kings. Good morning, Vinny. Yeah, Brian, I hope the Canucks don't make the playoffs. That means my Calgary Flames have every chance of grabbing that wild card spot. So I'm with you. I think the Canucks have too many weird internal problems happening with some of these players. We know JT Miller being traded off to the New York Rangers really did help, but I still do think there's issues internally with these guys just not getting along out there in Vancouver. And Vancouver kind of leaves everything to the last minute with their players to really lock them into some of these contracts. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Vancouver. Another game that you've got to watch for those trades coming out for the Vancouver Canucks as well. You think you're going to let it ride, maybe jump in live if you need to. Go Caps. It's going to be a good one, you guys. Drinks will be flowing. I'm going to be thinking of you, D. I really hope you're able to cash. The Washington Capitals should be able to get the win. The Winnipeg Jets should be able to get the win today. Those are the two teams that I trust the most to come out nice and strong. My best advice for that parlay, 16-1 payout. Letting it ride would be to put a little bit of money, and I'm talking a little bit of money, on the Red Wings, but they struggled versus this team. They struggled in Washington, so you should be good. You guys, let D know what you'd be doing if you were sitting on a 16-1 long shot parlay with the opportunity of cashing today if the Capitals win. All that needs to happen is the Capitals get that win against the Red Wings, a team that they have been able to dominate. Let D know where you would go with that. I really think, D, you should ask Scott Wetzel. He's the king of hedging out there. My partner on In-Game Live on the weekends. We will be live tonight, so I'll be thinking of you in this one. I'll bring it up with him. We're live on the grid from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. This one, the puck will be dropping at 7. So we'll be just into this game, probably just over halfway by the time I go live. So make sure you join me on In-Game Live. I will be talking to you, D, letting you know where I think you should go with that game. But you guys, it is time for recap time here. Can the Blackhawks make the puck line? Yeah, the Blackhawks can. It all comes down to Spencer Knight in net. I love what we saw out of him versus the Kings. He stopped 41 of 42 shots on his net. If he plays like that, the Chicago Blackhawks could cover that puck line tonight. So we'll get there. Let's do this recap, you guys. So we have 6 games. We'll start off with the Winnipeg Jets versus the New Jersey Devils. I do think the Winnipeg Jets in reg is the best bet here, coming in at plus 130. Kyle Connor for 2+ points. Hell yeah, you guys throw it out. I do think he has every ability. I think this is a 3-2 style win for the Winnipeg Jets. We know how strong they are on that power play. And then you look at the New Jersey Devils, Dougie Hamilton, lower body listed day-to-day. I doubt he plays in this one. Jack Hughes is out of the lineup for the rest of the season with that shoulder injury. I think this one should stay under the 5.5, but I'd rather isolate the Devils team total to that under because I trust in Connor Hellebuck. And we know the Winnipeg Jets, once they get hot, they can continuously score on that power play. So be cautious with that full game under. But it should finish 3-1 for the Winnipeg Jets. That's what I'm looking at. The Detroit Red Wings versus the Washington Capitals. Look for Washington to come out and get a 4-2, 5-2 if there's an empty netter style win. I'm going to look at the player props more so than anything in this. I love that puck line, though, for the Washington Capitals. I think they come out and cover it with this win. For the Red Wings, it's DeBrincat for goal number 30. I do like his ability to be able to get a goal on the board. It's coming in at plus 210. He's been firing away, getting those shots on goal. When we look at the Washington Capitals, it's Ovi for the power play point, coming in at plus 190. Ovi has been so solid out there. We know the records he's chasing. Look for him to get the point on the power play. Dylan Strome, you can look at for the assist tonight as well. The Utah Hockey Club and the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't trust Utah. They're playing above what I expected. Connor Ingram, I don't trust. We got Spencer Knight getting his second start here in Chicago for Chicago, and it's all going to be about Spencer Knight. We'll look at his goalie prop as soon as we're done this recap here. I'm going to take the Chicago Blackhawks over 2.5 goals. That's coming in at minus 130. And if you want to have faith on the alt puck line here for the Chicago Blackhawks, I don't hate it, you guys. I really do think Spencer Knight can have that sort of game. And Utah, they've been stronger out there on the road, but this is still a Utah club that's coming in on their second night of a back-to-back. And I do think it's going to be a hard spot for them to be able to win tonight. So looking at the Chicago Blackhawks for that alt puck line, laying 1.5 goals is coming in at plus 130. So we're getting a little bit of greed there, not just taking them straight up on the money line when we're still getting good value, but I do think if they win, they probably do win it by 2 goals. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Vegas Golden Knights. I think the Penguins can hang in this one. I'm expecting some goals out of them. Again, trade deadline day today. Make sure you stay tuned to SportsGrid TV on X as well as in-game live for any of those trade updates, as well as on YouTube here. I will be posting if I'm jumping off games because of those trades. The Penguins, we know, have been sellers so far, but I do expect in this game, if all these players show up that are listed right now, that they can go over 2.5 goals versus the Vegas Golden Knights. This is a team they actually play strong against. So I'm expecting the goals out of both sides. So you could look at Vegas's team total over 3.5. It's coming in at -134. So you have to lay the juice, or the Penguins over 2.5 coming in at -110. Give me Sidney Crosby for goal number 20 at +180. Give me Raquel for goal number 30 at +210. You can look at their power play points as well. I love it. Neither team has elite kills. So the power play points on both sides. Jack Eichel for point number 75 tonight. 2+ points is coming in at +162. So that would put him at 76. Or just a power play point. Again, neither team has strong kills out there. He's had 2 points in his last 2 games. And then Hurdle. Love the value on Hurdle tonight coming in here for Vegas. 2+ points for him coming in at +320. Now he centers the second line and is on that top power play with Jack Eichel. 48 points. So that would put him at 50 points today if he's able to get the 24 goals and 24 assists. The Minnesota Wild versus the Vancouver Canucks. Don't love this game, you guys. I do think we see this being that lower scoring game between these two. We know the Minnesota Wild have been able to just dominate out there on the road, 22-9-3. Vancouver, I don't trust at home. We know that trades could be happening with both of these teams, so I'm very cautious with this game. I trust Gustafsson more than I do Lankikin, so I want to live bet this one if Vancouver goes up first. But going into it, I will put a little bit of money on the Wild on that money line. And then the St. Louis Blues and the Anaheim Ducks. So excited for this one. I think St. Louis covers that puck line. I'll lay the 1.5 with St. Louis at that +156. I also like the St. Louis Blues first period puck line laying a half a goal coming in at +150. And I think you can take the over 1.5 because I think St. Louis scores twice in the first period. You can look at the Ducks team total. I think they stay under 2.5 goals. That's a -106, 2 goals at most. I know Troy Terry, but this team is sellers here at the trade deadline. John Gibson will see if he is on another team by the end of the day. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Look at Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, and Jake Neighbors to be impactful here for the St. Louis Blues. I think we get the best out of them straight out of the gate. They have the Kings on deck tomorrow, so look for that hot start out of St. Louis. We know the Ducks will try to fight back, but I think there's going to be too many line changes out there for this Ducks team to hold tight. St. Louis -1.5 on that puck line. Can we ult this puck line for the St. Louis Blues? You guys know I start to get greedy out there, especially on a Friday with a limited slate, but I really do have faith in them. If they lose this game today, they're looking ahead to the Kings again tomorrow, but this team is trying to push for a playoff spot. They can't take these losses. They have to be able to come out nice and strong and get these big wins. So the St. Louis Blues team total over 3.5 is also in play at +124. I think they're able to get 4 goals in this one. That alt puck line for the St. Louis Blues is coming in at -2.5 at +300, not enough value. I like just the -1.5. It is now +158. Let's quickly check the goalie prop here for Spencer Knight of the Chicago Blackhawks. If I can just get into that. Again, all odds are over here on FanDuel, you guys. Goalie props have not been listed yet. Spencer Knight is confirmed. So looking at Spencer Knight, the Utah Hockey Club, they should be able to get a decent amount of shots. We know these playmakers really have been stepping up for Utah, getting them the win. You got Clayton Keller, Dylan Guenther. Dylan Guenther back from injury has been straight fire. And Logan Cooley. Those are the 3 players that I really love to look at here for Utah. But I think you look here at Chicago, you look at Spencer Knight to come out nice and strong. Donato has to get moving here for Chicago. We also know Connor Bedard has been so quiet, but I would really look at Teravainen and Bertuzzi to be impactful in this game. Those are the 2 that I trust more so. Again, not getting those goalie props out yet for Spencer Knight. But once those are out, you guys, I will be posting them here on YouTube under the post as well as on X. So stay tuned there. And you guys, oh, Matt, you're getting 26.5. I like that. Utah's going to be hungry for this win on the second night of a back-to-back. They'll come out firing in that first period. I do think this is one where you could look at the first period over 1.5 goals and both teams to score. I think Utah hits Spencer Knight quick, and then he falls back into form. So if you want to look at both teams to score in the first period and the over 1.5, I love it. I think it should be a solid way to go. But Spencer Knight over 26.5 save shots on goal should be a great one, you guys. That is it for Puck It with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. We will be back tomorrow, noon Eastern, going over every single game. Great games on deck tomorrow. So make sure you join me back here. You guys, let D know what you would be doing with his parlay 16-1. As long as the Washington Capitals win tonight, you guys, we've all got to be sitting there and keeping our fingers crossed for D tonight. That is for sure. You guys, all the best in all your bets. I'll see you tomorrow.